Okay, good afternoon. Today is March 21st, and welcome to the bill hearings of the Ways and Means Committee. First, do we have someone from Senator Bailey's office here? Come on up. Tell us who you are. Tell Senator, I was looking forward to seeing his lovely face.
We have 4 House hearings today, so we're doing a little divide and conquer.
Yeah, it's that time of year.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Christina Vigorito, and I am Senator Bailey's Chief of Staff, here to present Senate Bill 108. It is identical to House Bill 646 that passed this committee in the House of Delegates. In short, it alters a provision and combines a provision dealing with tax deductions for police volunteers, volunteer fire, EMS, and members into that $7,000 credit. Previously, there was a $5,000 credit for police volunteers. Fire and EMS was raised to $7,000, and those auxiliary officers were left behind. This just moves them over and puts them in line. And then moving forward, they would remain that way. So if anybody receives an increase, it is everybody, not just one group.
Any questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
That concludes the hearing on Senate Bill 108, Senate Bill 440. Senator Elfreth. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, and I still love the ring to that. Senator Sarah Elfreth here to present Senate Bill 440, which is the exact match cross-file of House Bill 447, which I believe the committee is still considering. But just briefly, this would reinvigorate the venison tax credit for donations to food banks. So it has the dual benefit of getting deer, those pests off our roads, off our farms, and incentivizing the donation of that venison meat to our food banks that desperately need that protein donation. We had this program from 2018 to 2023, and at its peak, more than 5,000 venison a year were donated. To be clear, it only incentivizes the hunting of female deer, because antlered deer usually have other incentives than to donate. So it actually is very precise. It increases the incentive from the previous program to $75 a deer with a cap of $300 a year. And that increase would match today's cost of processing, which have gone up like so many things. And so this will help. Again, apparently there are 30 to 35,000 car accidents caused by deer every year, and approximately $60 million in crop losses annually to our farmers because of the amount of deer we have on the streets. So this, I believe, would be a great part of a solution to eradicating some of the deer from our communities. And Madam Chair, I respectfully request a favorable committee report.
Okay, any questions? Delegate Wims.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question. How many deer did you say were donated last year?
In 2022, 5,000.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much,
Thank you.
Senator. That concludes the hearing on Senate Bill 440, Senate Bill 574, Senator Quarterman. Welcome, sir. Back in the day, Senator Quarterman and I, when he was just,
Maybe.
a baby delegate here in the House, we're on judiciary together.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Senator Paul Quarterman, District 2, Washington and Frederick counties. Thank you for the opportunity today to present Senate Bill 574, the sales and use tax exemption for aircraft parts. This is a cross-file a bill you guys heard previously, which would have been House Bill 557. It's also a bill that many members here are familiar with from years ago, because 5 years ago, you guys passed the original aircraft parts exemption bill. So the sunset is up, and so that we're back here today to kind of repeal the sunset. There was a reporting requirement in regards to that, and I think that's where some of still the interest is the fiscal impact there. And quite frankly, we don't believe there really has been much as far as on the state side, because the comptroller literally put a report out that says we can't tell exactly what the fiscal impact is, and that's pretty much what the report says. It was one page done the first year. They haven't done any other reporting since then. I would suspect if it actually was something fairly significant to the state coffers, that would have presented itself by now. What is significant, though, is the impact that is made on not just the airports across our state, but particularly here in the western part of the state, in the city of Hagerstown, at our airport, as well as in Salisbury. There has been extreme growth opportunities there on both of them. And really what this is about is keeping our airports competitive and keeping our state competitive. We talk a lot about competitiveness and not being, uncompetitive, so to speak. And most, if not almost all the other states in the Mid-Atlantic, as you guys remember, had this exemption already. And so if we don't continue to do that, we're basically putting ourselves at a competitive disadvantage and will, in essence, drive business out. We don't want to see that. So again, I think you guys are fairly familiar with it. I know down in Salisbury, they have a commitment from Piedmont American to take all the graduates of their UMES mechanic school in Hagerstown. We have the Pittsburgh Institute of Aeronautics, which is turning out 20 to 30 mechanics almost every year. And we like to keep that momentum going and grow our airports and continue to grow our aviation business here in Maryland. So appreciate the time and would request a favorable report.
Okay, questions, Delegate Fair?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Senator, for bringing the bill forward. You presented this bill last year, is that right? Do I remember that correctly?
You heard
we
it
had a-
earlier this year, probably that you heard the House when Delegate Adams was here.
Gotcha.
Presented it.
And is am I correct that the reason the comptroller can't create a report is because they can't really quantify who's purchasing items and collecting the credit on it? Is that, I'm trying to remember.
Yep, no, you're
what the
going the right
challenge
path.
was.
There's a couple different layers of it obviously if someone is not collecting a tax anymore, they're not paying a tax, right? But they can't quantify and say, hey, well, last year we were getting, they can't do the reverse math either. They can't just figure out what the issue was. So again, to my point of it, I think if it was something extreme, it would have presented itself.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, what it has shown, it's from a state perspective and a general fund perspective, it's a very insignificant amount of money, yet a significant impact to the communities that have been able to utilize it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other questions? Oh, welcome, Delegate Buckle. Yeah, well, you missed it.
I
Oh, okay.
appreciate the support, my friend from Western Maryland.
Thank you, Senator Quarterman.
Thank you.
And that concludes the hearing on Senate Bill 574, Senate Bill 358. Tamika, you're here for Senator McCray. Come on up.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Tamika Winkler for the record here on behalf of Senator Corey McCray. I'm here to request a favorable vote for SB 358. You guys heard this bill already, HB 287 on behalf of Delegate Young, and we're just here asking for a favorable vote.
Any questions? Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
ma'am. That
Y'all have a good
concludes
one.
the hearing on Senate Bill 358. Is there anyone here from Senator Alonzo Washington's office? Come on up, Senate Bill 457.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, this is Ashley on behalf of Senator Alonzo Washington.
Now, you need to tell Senator Washington that he should have come over here because he used to be right here. Okay, he's over there now, so he can't walk across the street. Mm. You go tell him we said that.
I will. All right. This bill allows the TEDCO Equity Growth Fund to pay for its administrative costs with the money granted to the fund, in addition to its grants for private businesses, without the alteration to allow administrative expenses to come out of the Equity Growth Fund. TEDCO would have to take on a substantial burden in dispersing the fund. Given TEDCO's longstanding history and record of boosting Maryland's economy through their creation of a stronger workforce and technology infrastructure, I strongly urge the committee to adopt this alteration to ensure that TEDCO can continue on its pathway of success. Seeing that the cross-file for this bill passed through this committee with a unanimous vote in favor of HB 410, I respectfully request a favorable committee report on SB 457. Thank you.
And what's your name, young lady?
Ashley Gittow.
Great job. Thank you very
you.
much. And that concludes the hearing on Senate Bill 457. Ms. Rose, Senate Bill 580. Or Chair Gazzoni. And he may have had an amazing cross file for this bill. I don't know.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Zaina Rose, and I'm a legislative fellow in Senator Gazzoni's office. And I am here to present Senate Bill 580, Sales and Use Tax Nonprofit Organizations Maintaining Memorials Exemption. This bill waives the sales tax for foundations and any nonprofit organization that uses that uses the proceeds of sales items to maintain a memorial on property owned by the state of Maryland, and the bill was amended to add co-sponsors. This bill was developed in particular to address all types of organizations that selflessly provide volunteer work. As an example, the Maryland Fire Rescue Services Memorial Foundation was founded in 1997 as a nonprofit organization for those who have lost their lives in the line of duty across all counties and towns in the state. The memorial is situated on state land that was leased to the foundation in order to be built. Since 2009, the foundation started paying sales tax on fundraising products, and since that time has paid the state of Maryland a total of $7,245 in sales tax. In 2023 alone, the annual cost paid by the foundation for the maintenance of the memorial was $23,365. To maintain compliance with state requirements, this fully volunteer group's treasurer needs to keep extensive records for sales tax and provide detailed reports to the comptroller's office every quarter, which requires many additional hours of work on top of the financial burden of paying the sales tax. We therefore want to support all such organizations that have a strong foundation of altruism in their community service, and hereby respectfully request a favorable report of Senate Bill 580. Thank you.
Wow. Good afternoon. I'm Dennis Beard, president of the Maryland Fire Rescue Services Memorial Foundation. Been a volunteer firefighter since 1964 and also a career firefighter in Howard County, retired with 30 years of service. On behalf of the foundation, I want to thank the state of Maryland for allowing us to lease land in Annapolis where we could build and maintain a memorial that remembers and honors my brothers and sisters killed in the line of duty. That number currently stands at 452 individuals. We are proud of this memorial on the state land that creates thousands of visitors to our state capitol each and every day. The upkeep of the memorial is ongoing and expensive. In 2023 alone, that figure was $23,365 to cover utilities, grass mowings, spring and fall plantings, tree maintenance, snow removal, fountain maintenance, and managing other unforeseen emergencies that arise. To raise those funds, the foundation sells items like t-shirts, challenge coins, paved bricks, and holds an annual silent auction. To say it's a struggle for this all-volunteer organization to cover the annual maintenance fees is an understatement. When in 2009, we had to begin paying sales tax to the state, that struggle was compounded. To date, while maintaining the property located on state land, we have paid $7,245 in sales tax. We're asking that the sales tax be waived, not just for our foundation, but for any nonprofit organization that uses the proceeds of sales items to maintain a memorial located on property that is owned by the state of Maryland. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much. And that concludes the hearing on Senate Bill 580, Senate Bill 634, Connor White for Senator Klossmeyer.
Thank you, Chair Adelberry, Vice Chair Wilkins, and members of the Ways and Means Committee for the opportunity to present Senate Bill 634. For the record, my name is Connor White, and I'm here on behalf of Senator Kathy Klossmeyer. Senate Bill 364 is a crossfire of Health Bill 776, which has already passed both in this committee and on the House floor. The two bills are in identical posture. I ask for a favorable report on Senate Bill 634 and can answer any questions you may have about the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, thank you very much. That concludes the hearing on Senate Bill 634. Senate Bill 678, Mr. Hayes.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair. My name is Justin Hayes. I'm the Director of State Affairs for the Comptroller's Office, here today to discuss Senate Bill 678, Comptroller's Bill to repeal obsolete provisions concerning income tax and correcting an erroneous cross-reference. This bill makes a few small corrections to the tax general article, including a reference that only applies to fiscal year 1990, and another that erroneously references the incorrect subtitle in the Housing and Community Development article. Correcting that erroneous cross-reference ensures legal accuracy and prevents confusion in interpretations and applying relevant sections of the law. By addressing these technical corrections, the bill supports the efficiency of government processes and ensures that laws are accurate and reflective of the intended policies of the legislature. Thanks for providing the opportunity for my testimony to be heard. As this cross-file for this bill has received a favorable report earlier in the session, I would respectfully request a favorable report on Senate Bill 678. Thanks.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much. That concludes the hearing on Senate Bill 678. Senate Bill 214, Lisa Swoboda, please.
Good afternoon, Chair Atterbury and Vice Chair Wilkins and committee members. For the record, I am Lisa Swoboda, Senior Director of the Office of Military and Federal Affairs in the Maryland Department of Commerce, and I am here to testify in support of Senate Bill 214. Senate Bill 214 adds 3 members to the Maryland Military Installation Council, or MMIC, which is an advisory panel that reviews policies, including funding and legislation, to determine actions necessary to provide state and local government support to the mission of each military installation, identifies community support, infrastructure, and other actions to improve defense mission efficiencies, and identify opportunities for collaboration to enhance the long-term potential of military installations and the economic benefits of the surrounding communities. Collectively, Maryland's military installations are a major economic driver for the state, with an annual economic impact of more than $61 billion and supporting nearly 390,000 jobs. The MMIC's membership currently includes, but is not limited to, the presidents of the 7 military alliances, such as the Army Alliance, Fort Meade Alliance, and the Military Alliance Council, appointees from the Senate President and the Speaker of the House, representatives from each chamber of the General Assembly, the Adjutant General of the Maryland National Guard, the Secretaries of Commerce, Transportation, Environment, Planning, and Veterans Affairs, and 5 individuals appointed by the governor. Secretary Anderson serves as chair and I serve as the executive director. Senate Bill 214 adds to the council the Maryland Secretary of Labor and the State Superintendent of Schools, or their designees, and 1 representative who is a spouse of a service member. The MMIC often makes recommendations on issues that are important to the defense community, such as workforce development and educational opportunities, and other topics that affect service members and their families. As both Maryland and the Department of Defense increase their focus on workforce development, housing, childcare, and education for military families, adding these 3 members will ensure that the council can tap into the unique wisdom, expertise, and experience that each individual brings to the table. Governor Moore has declared 2024 as the year for military families, and this legislation is a modest part of that effort. It will help us better serve those families and promote greater coordination at the state level to support the defense communities across our great state. I respectfully urge a favorable report on Senate Bill 214. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much. That concludes the hearing on Senate Bill 214. Senate Bill 209. Ms. Lahat.
Good afternoon, Chair Atterbury, Vice Chair Wilkins, and members of the committee. For the record, I am Jen Lahat. I'm the Managing Director of Policy, Research, and Government Affairs at the Maryland Department of Commerce, and I am here today to testify in support of Senate Bill 209. Unfortunately, Dana Stebbins, the chair of the Maryland Economic Development Commission, or the MEDC, was unable to be here today, but you should hopefully have the MEDC's written testimony in support in your file. This bill will clarify that 2 of the members of the MEDC must be industry-specific representatives. So there would be 1 representing the manufacturing industry, as well as 1 who represents the life sciences industry. As background, the MEDC's mission is to establish economic development policy for the state and support the work of the department to attract and retain businesses and jobs. The commission's members are mostly representatives of the business community, in addition to several ex officio members, including the Secretaries of Commerce and Labor, 2 members of the General Assembly, and the executive directors of TEDCO and MEDCO. We feel that voices from life sciences and manufacturing industries need to be heard loud and clear as the MEDC advises the state of Maryland on our business climate and develops Commerce's strategic plan. And formally and permanently establishing representation for those sectors on the commission is a natural way to achieve that goal. There are some other provisions of the bill that would strike certain duties of the MEDC. One would eliminate the requirement that the MEDC incorporate the full strategic plan of the Port of Baltimore into its own strategic plan. The port is, of course, one of Maryland's most critical assets and will always play a role in our strategic planning, but we don't feel that the MEDC should be required to incorporate another entity's strategic plan into its own. There are other provisions that would eliminate the requirements that the MEDC seek contributions from the private sector to support economic development programs and tax incentives, as well as that the department present proposed regulations and our budget requests to the MEDC before adopting, and we are removing those requirements from the MEDC's statute as well. The bill would also eliminate a requirement that Commerce's Office of International Investment and Trade present to the MEDC twice a year. No other unit within department has such a requirement, so we would prefer the international team only present to the MEDC when there is a clear need, such as new programs or significant achievements. And the final provision repeals a requirement that the Maryland Tourism Development Board present its strategic and marketing plans to the commission, which does not actually have any oversight over the Tourism Development Board. So Commerce feels that that requirement is unnecessary. This legislation will both strengthen and streamline the MEDC, making it a more effective partner to Maryland and the state's economic development community. We thank you for your consideration of Senate Bill 209 and respectfully request a favorable report.
Okay, are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you. That concludes the hearing on Senate Bill 209 and Senate Bill 215. Ms. Lahat.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee. Again, I am Jen Lahat, Managing Director of Policy, Research, and Government Affairs at the Maryland Department of Commerce. I'm here to testify in support of Senate Bill 215, which as amended is an exact cross-file of House Bill 26, which this committee unanimously voted favorably and which passed the House 131-1 back in February. Senate Bill 215 also passed the Senate unanimously. We respectfully request a favorable report on Senate Bill 215.
Okay, any questions? Okay, thank you very much. That concludes the hearing on Senate Bill 215, and that concludes the bill hearings for the Ways and Means Committee today. Thank you.